On YouTube, welcome back to our channel. Today we are in Château de Maisons. There's a magnificent exhibition dedicated to the last king of France. So, on y va.
So we are now walking towards the Château de Maisons. And if you guys want to hear the history of the Château and see the hidden apartments that are under the roof, check out our video from the actual Château. We'll post it in the first pinned comment of this video. But today we are going to see the amazing and gorgeous and fantastic exhibition dedicated to Charles X. Charles X. See? It's always like that. In English it will be Charles X. Comte d'Artois. And we've come...
Very interesting.
Yes, it will be very interesting because it's in a collaboration with the Château de Versailles. And it's going on only until 8th of March. That's why we came here. Now it's February. Today is February 8th, I think. We tried to come here earlier, but we just couldn't make it with other things. But yeah, super exciting.
And also we have an episode about Charles X. Le dernier coronation du roi, je pense, no?
The last coronation of the king, yes.
That was about Charles X.
Yes.
So it will be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, on y va, let's go. Thanks to a collaboration with Le Château de Versailles and numerous loans from major institutions, this exhibition focuses on the youth of the prince, the brother of Louis XVI, the future Charles X, the last king of France, also known during the Ancien regime as Le Comte d'Artois.
The exhibition begins as you enter the rez-de-chaussée of the chateau.
Visitors can rediscover his early life, or precisely until his exile during the Revolution of 1789. Through paintings, drawings, furniture, sculptures, curiosities, and rare books, it reveals his personality, his tastes, and his role as a patron. Most of the objects presented here come from Versailles, but important loans also come from les Archives nationales, la Bibliothèque nationale de France, le Louvre, le Mobilier national, le Château de Fontainebleau, le Musée Carnavalet, le Musée de l'Armée Invalide, and several regional museums. Some private collections are also represented, bringing together works that are rarely displayed publicly.
The rooms were in fact occupied by Le Comte d'Artois himself until 1789. Although constructed much earlier, the chateau became his property in 1777. That same year, he also received Le Château de Saint-Germain-en-Laye as part of his appanage. Shortly after, the prince decided to establish his residence here at Maisons-sur-Seine, as his intention was to unite the domains of Maisons and Saint-Germain-en-Laye to create a vast hunting territory, considering this particular activity remained one of the central activities of the Bourbon princes, an essential element of aristocratic life.
Born into the royal family as the youngest son of Le Dauphin Louis, his chances of ruling were initially very remote. Therefore, his education prepared him for a military and diplomatic career instead. At the age of 15, Louis XV appointed him Colonel Général de Suisse et Grisons. Under the rule of his brother Louis XVI, he occasionally represented the crown on diplomatic missions across Europe, without ever truly playing a major political role before the revolution. He is also known to have shared with his sister-in-law, Queen Marie Antoinette, a passion for theatre, music, opera, and the refined amusements of aristocratic society. The two royals played several times together at the private theatre of the Queen, at her domain of Le Petit Trianon, a truly magical little theatre we have visited and shared with you back in 2024. We've linked this episode in the comment below in the case you haven't seen it.
Among the exhibition highlights are the prince's personal hunting rifle and several books from his library devoted to venery. It must be noted that Le Comte d'Artois was also an enthusiastic patron of the arts. He admired works by Elisabeth Vigée-Lebrun, Jean-Baptiste Greuze, Joseph Vernet, and Jean-Honoré Fragonard.
But perhaps his greatest passion was architecture, and so he took a very active role in shaping his residences. From his apartments at Versailles to Le Palais du Temple in Paris, and later at Bagatelle and Saint-Germain-en-Laye, he experimented constantly with new architectural and decorative ideas. In 1779, He began important transformations to the interior of the Château de Maisons, entrusting these works to his principal architect, François-Joseph Bélanger, considered one of the most inventive architects of the late 18th century. His reputation had grown rapidly after the spectacular construction of the Pavillon de Bagatelle in 1777, sometimes called La Folie d'Artois. It is said that Marie Antoinette challenged the Count to finish the work in 64 days, or face a fine of 100,000 livres. He accepted the wager and mobilized 800 workers day and night to complete the project on time, dazzling the court. But that's a story for another episode. Back at Maison, Bélanger collaborated with several remarkable craftsmen. The sculpted decorations were executed by Nicolas François L'Huillier, while the elaborate stucco work was carried out by Alexandre Régnier. The ensemble created here reflects the artistic style that dominated Europe at the time. There is also a sense of fascination with antiquity here. The most spectacular decorative program was reserved for the main dining hall. Today we are treated to some furniture pieces exposed on the occasion of the exhibition that belonged to the Count.
Work on these interiors eventually stopped in 1781 due to the growing financial difficulties of the Count. Only a few years later, the political world that had created such refined interiors would collapse. A few days following the storm of the Bastille, Le Comte d'Artois would quit France in exile. His properties in the country were confiscated and sold under the revolutionary laws concerning les émigrés, those who emigrated. We decided to descend into the kitchens, which are fascinating on their own. Here, you really get the feeling of what it must have been like at the time. These spaces must have been filled with kitchen staff, preparing the magnificent dinner service. Today, a table with exemplary meals is set up to give a little push to the visitor's imagination.
Going back up, and we approach l'escalier principal, one of the architectural masterpieces of François Mansart. This monumental staircase immediately establishes the tone of the residence. Its elegant geometry and harmonious proportions create a powerful theatrical effect. It's as if it's just floating by itself, without the need of central columns to support it. At the time, Mansart was laughed at, with critics saying it would collapse. Over 3 centuries later, and it's still in place, hasn't collapsed, long after the passing of the critics. The grand apartments on the first floor are an exceptional example of the decor and the architecture of Le Grand Siècle. These rooms formed the ceremonial heart of the chateau. The salons preserve magnificent ceilings, sculpted decorations, and monumental fireplaces. These rooms are one of the many reasons why Le Château de Maisons is considered as one of the greatest monuments of French classical architecture. The space I find the most striking is the cabinet au miroir du roi, or the king's mirror office. This room effortlessly multiplies light and reflections, creating a refined and intimate atmosphere. Don't forget that mirrors were a big thing back then, so this room is only logical to have in the chateau of a prince.
From the apartments, we eventually leave the interior of the chateau and step outside into the gardens.
Do you know what I really love about this today in particular is that there are so many items that are from Sèvres, so the porcelain. If you haven't watched our porcelain video yet, Sèvres video, we highly recommend it because it seems that a lot of people actually like it, but we loved being there. And what I appreciated the most today is that not only do you find the porcelain as part of this temporary exhibition, but you also find it in the kitchens, underground. In the lower, well, it's not really underground, it's the -1 level that you can see behind me. It's just great. I absolutely love it here. I just wish this chateau would attract more people, not just the locals. Hopefully, we'll be able to show it to more because it's one of my favorite chateaus. It's just absolutely great.
Comte d'Artois eventually returned to France in 1814 during the Restoration. 10 years later, he would ascend the throne as Charles X, the last Bourbon king.
In 1818, the domain would pass into the hands of Lafitte, a successful banker and a political figure, who would cut the terrain into lots, demolishing the adjacent buildings and greatly reducing the size of the gardens. The domain used to be much larger, and the gardens would stretch far out, typical of Le Jardin Français and domains of the time. The facades reveal a perfect balance of symmetry and classical proportion. And even though much has changed around the chateau, one can still be witness to the world shaped by art, architecture, pleasure, and power. Today, the domain is managed by le Centre des Monuments Nationaux, But if you'd like to know more about the history of this building, as well as climb up into the roof apartments, we highly recommend the episode we did on this place back in 2023. So that will be it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed making it. And let us know if you like it or if you don't like it in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And until the next one, au revoir.